Tom Hanks, born Thomas Jeffrey Hanks, on July 9, 1956, in Concord, California, is one of the most respected and beloved actors in American cinema. His story is one of quiet resilience, emotional sincerity, and a deep-rooted belief in the power of storytelling. From a turbulent childhood to the bright lights of Hollywood, Hanks's journey to fame was less about overnight stardom and more about patience, craftsmanship, and a commitment to truth in performance. Tom was born into a fragmented family. His parents, Amos Mefford Hanks, a cook, and Janet Marilyn Frager, a hospital worker, divorced when Tom was just 5 years old. He and his two older siblings were raised by their father, who frequently moved from town to town in search of work. By the time Tom was a teenager, he had lived in 10 different homes. The constant upheaval made him an outsider, and he often found solace in books, films, and quiet observation. He has described his childhood as lonely, though not unhappy, a time marked by emotional sensitivity rather than material hardship. As a child, Tom was not particularly outgoing. He was shy, introverted, and deeply curious about the people around him. This natural sense of empathy would later become one of his greatest strengths as an actor. While attending Skyline High School in Oakland, California, Hanks began to explore acting, first as a way to fit in, then as a serious calling. He found a home on the stage, where his ability to slip into different roles gave him both a voice and a sense of belonging. After high school, he enrolled at Chabot College in Hayward, and later transferred to California State University, Sacramento. Though he studied theater academically, his real education came from the stage. In 1977, he made a bold decision to drop out of college and accept an internship at the Great Lakes Theater Festival in Cleveland, Ohio. It was there, in a regional theater setting far from the glamour of Hollywood, that Hanks learned the discipline and technical skills of acting. For 3 years, he performed backstage duties by day and acted in Shakespearean productions by night. He swept floors, moved props, rehearsed lines, and slowly learned how to build a character from the inside out. His time at the festival was transformative. He studied the rhythm of dialogue, the importance of timing, and the emotional honesty required to truly connect with an audience. While other actors chased fame, Hanks focused on craft. That grounding in classical theater gave him a range and emotional depth that would eventually distinguish him in the film world. In 1979, Tom moved to New York City, arriving with modest ambitions and even more modest savings. He picked up small roles in stage plays and television, slowly making a name for himself as a dependable performer. His big break came in 1980 when he was cast in the ABC sitcom Bosom Buddies, where he played a man forced to dress as a woman in order to live in an all-female apartment building. The show was absurd in concept, but gave Hanks a chance to display his comedic timing, warmth, and natural charm. Though the series only lasted 2 seasons, it led to more auditions and larger opportunities. What set Tom Hanks apart in those early years was not just his talent, but his approachability. He wasn't the brooding heartthrob or the muscular action hero. He was everyman. Relatable, sincere, and endlessly likable. His first film role came in May Even, He Knows You're Alone, 1980, a low-budget horror movie. But soon after, he caught the attention of director Ron Howard, who cast him in the romantic comedy Splash, 1984. The film, in which Hanks played a man who falls in love with a mermaid, was both a commercial and critical success. Audiences responded to Hanks's balance of humor, vulnerability, and earnestness. From there, his career began to gather momentum. Films like Bachelor Party, 1984, The Money Pit, 1986, and Big, 1988, showcased his versatility and comedic instincts. Big, in particular, marked a turning point. His portrayal of a 12-year-old boy trapped in a man's body earned him his first Academy Award nomination and proved he had the emotional range to handle more serious material. Critics and audiences alike were beginning to recognize that beneath his comedic appeal was a deeply thoughtful actor capable of profound performances. Despite the early success, Tom Hanks never rushed the process. He chose his roles carefully, stayed grounded, and continually sought to evolve. His humility and work ethic kept him out of the tabloids and earned him the respect of his peers. By the end of the 1980s, he was no longer just a rising star, he was a trusted figure in American cinema, admired not only for his talent but for his integrity. Tom Hanks's early career was not marked by spectacle or scandal, but by steady growth, thoughtful choices, and a quiet confidence in his craft. His path to stardom was a journey of learning, transformation, and an unwavering belief in the emotional truth of storytelling. These formative years would shape him into the actor, producer, and cultural icon he would become, an artist whose work would touch generations and stand the test of time. Tom Hanks's rise from promising actor to Hollywood legend was marked by an extraordinary period during the late 1980s through the early 2000s, a golden era in which his versatility, emotional range, and natural charisma cemented his reputation as one of the most beloved actors of all time. This period not only elevated Hanks to A-list status, but also showcased his profound impact on American cinema. After earning critical acclaim for Big 1988, a film that garnered him his first Academy Award nomination, Hanks entered the 1990s with a newfound momentum. The decade began with a series of ambitious roles that would define his career and demonstrate his remarkable depth as a performer. His portrayal of the AIDS-stricken lawyer Andrew Beckett in Philadelphia, 1993, marked a turning point. Tackling a sensitive and then controversial subject with compassion and nuance, Hanks won his first Academy Award for Best Actor. The role not only showcased his dramatic abilities, but also highlighted his courage in choosing roles that carried social significance. Just a year later, Hanks made history with Forrest Gump, 1994, a film that became a cultural phenomenon. His performance as the simple yet profoundly wise Forrest resonated with audiences around the world and earned him his second consecutive Academy Award, making him one of only a few actors in history to achieve that feat. The film's blend of historical context, humor, emotion, and innovative storytelling further solidified Hanks's position as a once-in-a-generation talent. During this period, Hanks also starred in Apollo 13, 1995, directed by Ron Howard, which added yet another critically acclaimed performance to his resume. Playing astronaut Jim Lovell, Hanks brought to life the tension, leadership, and resilience of NASA's ill-fated mission. The film not only highlighted his range among real-life figures, but also deepened his connection with American audiences who admired his down-to-earth charm and relatability. Hanks's collaborative efforts with director Steven Spielberg marked another peak moment in his career. Saving Private Ryan, 1998, redefined the war film genre and featured Hanks in one of his most powerful performances as Captain John Miller. The role was widely praised for its raw emotional depth and earned him yet another Oscar nomination. The film itself became a landmark in cinematic realism and storytelling. The turn of the millennium saw Hanks embracing new challenges. He captivated audiences with his solo performance in Cast Away, 2000, a film in which he carried most of the narrative alone while stranded on a deserted island. His commitment to the role, including physically transforming his body and enduring months of filming in isolation, garnered enormous critical praise, and yet another Oscar nomination. Throughout this era, Hanks also proved himself as a skilled voice actor, bringing life to the character of Woody in Toy Story 1995 and its sequels. The role became iconic in its own right and introduced him to an entirely new generation of fans. His voice work underscored his ability to connect emotionally with audiences, even through animation. This period of Hanks's career was not only marked by box office success and critical acclaim, but also by his deepening influence on the film industry. He began producing and directing during this time, notably with the HBO miniseries Band of Brothers, 2001, which further showcased his dedication to meaningful storytelling and historical narratives. In the span of little more than a decade, Tom Hanks had transformed from a likable comedic actor into a cultural institution, an artist whose name alone could carry a film. His peak era is remembered not just for the accolades, but for the heart, humanity, and integrity he brought to every performance. While Tom Hanks has long been regarded as one of Hollywood's most respected and beloved figures, even his illustrious career has not been without moments of hardship, criticism, and unexpected controversy. Known for his calm demeanor and squeaky clean public image, any turbulence in Hanks' personal or professional life has often come as a surprise to his fans. Though comparatively rare and often more subtle than the scandals that have plagued some of his contemporaries, the crises and controversies surrounding Tom Hanks offer a more complete picture of the man behind the legacy. One of the more personal crises that Tom Hanks faced publicly was his health battle. In March 2020, during the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, Hanks and his wife, Rita Wilson, were among the first global celebrities to test positive for the virus. They were in Australia at the time for the pre-production of Baz Luhrmann's Elvis Presley biopic, in which Hanks portrayed Colonel Tom Parker. The announcement of their diagnosis sent shockwaves through both Hollywood and the general public, signaling the seriousness of the pandemic. Though they made a full recovery, the experience was physically and emotionally taxing. Hanks later used his platform to advocate for vaccination and public health awareness, but even this sparked backlash from a minority of vaccine skeptics who accused him of pushing an agenda. For the first time in his career, Hanks found himself unexpectedly at the center of a politicized debate. Beyond health, Hanks has also been scrutinized for his family dynamics. Though generally considered a private and respectful family man, his relationship with his son Chet Hanks has drawn significant media attention. Chet, an aspiring rapper and actor, has been a polarizing figure, making headlines for his controversial social media posts, substance abuse struggles, and erratic behavior. In contrast to the wholesome, thoughtful persona associated with Tom Hanks, Chet's public image has been markedly different. Some critics accused Hanks of nepotism for supporting his son's career, while others questioned his parenting. Though Hanks has expressed love and support for Chet publicly, he has also acknowledged the difficulties of raising children in the spotlight. In many ways, the public's curiosity about the disconnect between Tom's image and his son's behavior served as a reminder that no family, no matter how seemingly perfect, is without its struggles. Professionally, Tom Hanks has occasionally faced criticism regarding representation and historical accuracy in some of his projects. For example, whilst Forrest Gump was a critical and commercial success, some later critics revisited the film and questioned its portrayal of social issues such as the Vietnam War, civil rights, and disability. Others critiqued it for promoting a passive, apolitical narrative in an era of social upheaval. Likewise, some of his World War II-related projects, such as The Pacific and Greyhound, faced backlash from historians who felt they lacked nuance in portraying other nations, contributions, or complexities of war. In recent years, a more controversial accusation surfaced online as part of the larger and often conspiratorial QAnon movement, in which high-profile celebrities, including Hanks, were baselessly accused of participating in elite cabals. Though these claims were entirely unsubstantiated and widely debunked, they prompted a temporary wave of online harassment against Hanks, leading him to disable comments on certain social media posts and reduce his online presence. While he never directly responded to the conspiracy theories, his silence was viewed by supporters as a dignified way of not lending legitimacy to absurd rumors, though critics argued that a firm denial might have helped quell the tide of misinformation. Through these challenges, Tom Hanks remained largely unflappable. His reputation for grace under pressure, combined with decades of goodwill built on professionalism and kindness, allowed him to weather these storms more effectively than most. Even in moments of crisis, he continued to work, to contribute to society, and to offer comfort to audiences who found hope in his roles. Far from tarnishing his legacy, these controversies, many of them relatively minor in nature, have added depth to the public's understanding of Tom Hanks as a human being, principled, fallible, private, and quietly resilient. While Tom Hanks never truly fell from grace in the public eye, every great actor faces moments of reinvention, reflection, and resurgence. For Hanks, the 2010s marked a critical turning point, a phase that demanded both artistic reinvigoration and personal introspection. As Hollywood evolved, embracing franchise-driven storytelling and digital streaming platforms, Hanks remained determined to uphold the spirit of character-driven narratives and emotionally rich storytelling. After the commercial underperformance of films like Larry Crowne, 2011, which Hanks co-wrote, directed, and starred in, questions emerged about whether the once-guaranteed box office draw still had the Midas touch. But Hanks, never one to chase trends, took these moments not as setbacks, but as signals. He leaned into roles that pushed him emotionally and intellectually, returning to the well of history, integrity, and complex human stories that had always fueled his most powerful performances. His comeback began with a stunning trio of performances: Cloud Atlas, 2012, Captain Phillips, 2013, and Saving Mr. Banks, 2013. In Captain Phillips, Hanks delivered one of the most visceral portrayals of fear, courage, and vulnerability in his career. The film's climax, with Hanks' raw emotional breakdown in the infirmary, remains one of the most lauded moments in modern cinema. It reminded audiences and critics alike why Hanks had long been considered the emotional heartbeat of American film. In the following years, Hanks returned to portraying real-life figures, something he had mastered with past roles like Jim Lovell and Andrew Beckett. He embodied James B. Donovan in Bridge of Spies, 2015, Sully Sullenberger in Sully, 2016, and Fred Rogers in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, 2019. These portrayals were not just performances, they were acts of empathy. Hanks' ability to project decency, patience, and moral clarity resonated with a world increasingly desperate for compassion. His resurgence wasn't limited to film. Hanks embraced new forms of storytelling, becoming a prominent voice in audiobooks, taking on roles in streaming-exclusive films like Strax Finch, Apple TV+, and penning fiction with the release of his short story collection, Uncommon Type, in 2017. His curiosity and willingness to grow creatively at a stage when many would rest on legacy alone marked this period not as a comeback from failure, but as a reawakening of purpose. Moreover, Hanks became a voice of reason and leadership during times of global crisis. In early 2020, he and his wife, actress Rita Wilson, became among the first public figures to contract and speak openly about COVID-19. Their transparency and calm approach humanized the virus for many and encouraged responsible action, solidifying Hanks's place not only as an artist but as a moral compass for the public. In his late 60s and now 70s, Tom Hanks continues to surprise, challenge, and endear. Whether through his nuanced portrayals, his heartfelt interviews, or his steady creative ventures, his journey of rebirth serves as a masterclass in endurance, grace, and the power of staying true to one's voice. Rather than returning to the top, Hanks reshaped the very definition of what that top looks like, proving that the journey of reinvention never truly ends for those willing to keep moving forward. Legacy and influence of Tom Hanks. Few figures in modern cinema have managed to bridge the gap between critical acclaim and public affection as seamlessly as Tom Hanks. His legacy extends far beyond the silver screen, embedding itself in the cultural, emotional, and moral fabric of generations. Known for his authenticity, humility, and versatility, Hanks has become more than just an actor. He is a symbol of integrity, resilience, and humanity in Hollywood. Cinematic excellence and cultural milestones. Hanks's body of work reads like a timeline of American cinema's most heartfelt and thought-provoking narratives. From portraying the everyman in Forrest Gump to the tormented yet determined captain in Captain Phillips, his characters reflect the complexities of the human spirit. Films such as Saving Private Ryan, Apollo 13, The Green Mile, and Castaway have not only achieved commercial success, but have become timeless pieces of storytelling. These performances help to shape public consciousness, drawing attention to historical events, moral dilemmas, and the resilience of the human condition. His impact is not limited to acting alone. As a producer through his company Playtone, Hanks has supported projects like Band of Brothers and The Pacific, which brought World War II history into the living rooms of millions, preserving important narratives with dignity and reverence. His commitment to meaningful content has elevated the industry's standard, showing that storytelling can be both commercially viable and deeply enriching. A moral compass in Hollywood. In an industry often criticized for its vanity and volatility, Hanks has consistently stood out as a moral compass. His off-screen persona, marked by kindness, gratitude, and decency, has garnered him not only admiration from fans, but also deep respect from peers. Rarely involved in controversies, Hanks has maintained a grounded presence, allowing his work to shine without the distractions of personal scandal. Hanks's sense of responsibility also extends to political and humanitarian causes. He has been a vocal advocate for veterans' rights, education, and environmental sustainability. He has used his platform to speak out on issues such as climate change, equality, and historical remembrance. His contributions have gone beyond performance and production, entering the realm of social leadership. Generational influence. Tom Hanks's legacy is multi-generational. For older audiences, he is the emblem of the transformative cinema of the 80s and 90s. For millennials and Gen Z, he is the voice of Woody in Toy Story, a character that encapsulates loyalty, bravery, and friendship, values that resonate deeply with young viewers. His ability to adapt to the sensibilities of each era without compromising authenticity has made him relevant across decades. Many actors, filmmakers, and writers cite Hanks as a source of inspiration. His method of inhabiting characters, deeply empathetic, never exaggerated, has influenced acting philosophies in both mainstream and independent cinema. He has shown that it is possible to be both a celebrity and a craftsman, a box office star and a character actor, a public figure and a private man. Awards, honors, and recognitions. Throughout his career, Hanks has been the recipient of numerous awards and honors, including 2 consecutive Academy Awards for Best Actor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the Kennedy Center Honors, and the AFI Life Achievement Award. Each accolade is a testament not only to his artistic talent, but also to the broader cultural contribution he has made. Perhaps more meaningful than the trophies is the affection with which he is remembered by audiences. Whether playing a young man in a grown man's body, Big, a slow-speaking but wise-hearted Southerner, Forrest Gump, or a real-life hero, Sully, Hanks has earned a rare kind of immortality, the kind rooted in emotional connection. Legacy in motion. Even as he moves into the later years of his career, Tom Hanks continues to evolve, whether through writing novels, exploring roles behind the camera, or mentoring the next generation of artists. He remains deeply involved in the creative process. His legacy is not static. It is a living force, one that continues to grow with each thoughtful project he undertakes. In many ways, Tom Hanks has become a national treasure, not only in America but globally. He has used fame not as an end in itself, but as a vehicle to foster understanding, compassion, and introspection. His legacy is not just in the movies he made, but in the way he made people feel, seen, heard, and uplifted. While Tom Hanks is known to the world as a figure of warmth, optimism, and resilience, even the most beloved icons carry private sorrows that shape them profoundly. Behind the polished smile and gracious demeanor lies a personal life marked by moments of great emotional pain and grief. Moments that, though often kept away from the public eye, have played a significant role in deepening his empathy, artistry, and humanity. Perhaps the greatest sorrow in Tom Hanks's life stems from his turbulent childhood and the emotional scars left by a fractured family. Born in 1956 in Concord, California, Hanks was just 5 years old when his parents divorced. After the split, he was raised by his father, Amos Mefford Hanks, and shuffled from one step-family to another. This constant movement across households, 10 in total before he reached adolescence, meant that Hanks rarely had a sense of emotional stability. He often described himself as a geek and a lonely kid, navigating life largely on his own. The absence of a nurturing, consistent home environment deeply impacted his sense of belonging and identity. This early experience of disconnection haunted Hanks into adulthood. Though he would later build a reputation as a loving husband and father, he has been candid in interviews about his deep yearning for connection and the effort it took to create the kind of stable, grounded family he never had. In many ways, his choice of roles, particularly those that revolve around family, love, and redemption, mirrors his own journey toward healing the wounds of his past. Another moment of profound sorrow came in the late 1990s and early 2000s, when several close friends and mentors within the entertainment industry passed away. Among them was director and screenwriter Nora Ephron, with whom Hanks collaborated on some of his most iconic romantic comedies, including Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail. Her death in 2012 deeply affected him. She had been not only a creative partner, but also a confidant. Her passing was a painful reminder of the fleeting nature of relationships in a demanding industry. Moreover, Hanks experienced considerable heartache over the struggles of his son, Chet Hanks. While Hanks has always maintained a strong, supportive relationship with all his children, Chet's public battles with substance abuse and controversial behavior were a source of anguish for the family. Watching a loved one navigate addiction, particularly under the scrutiny of public attention, was a burden that Hanks bore with characteristic quiet strength, often choosing to offer support privately rather than comment publicly. It is widely acknowledged that these challenges tested his resilience as a father and as a man, but they also demonstrated the depth of his unconditional love. In March 2020, Hanks and his wife, actress and producer Rita Wilson, made international headlines as one of the first high-profile couples to contract COVID-19. Isolated in Australia during the early days of a pandemic that was yet to grip the world fully, Hanks's vulnerability struck a chord with millions. Though both ultimately recovered, the experience of facing a deadly virus, coupled with the broader grief of global loss, added another layer to his understanding of fragility, mortality, and the importance of compassion. Ultimately, Tom Hanks's greatest sorrow is not a singular event, but a tapestry of emotional trials. A childhood marked by abandonment, the death of cherished collaborators, and the challenges of watching loved ones suffer. Yet through all these sorrows, Hanks has continued to choose love over bitterness, kindness over cynicism. These hardships have not only humanized him, but also refined his ability to reflect truth in his performances. His griefs have taught him, and through him, all of us, that pain and joy often coexist, and that from even the darkest places, one can emerge with a deeper appreciation for life. In a world obsessed with perfection, Hanks remains a powerful symbol of what it means to embrace imperfection and still shine. His sorrows have not broken him, they have shaped him into one of the most empathetic and enduring storytellers of our time.